on June 5th, we saw number 1 ranked player Djokovic versus number 2 ranked player Murray. Andy Murray came out, won the first set 6-3, and from there on out, it was the Joker show. He won the next 3 sets 6-1, 6-2, and 6-4, winning his umpteenth major of his career. Now, if you like and friend me on Facebook, you would know then by the many awesome sports news posts that I repost and share that Novak Djokovic joined Roger Federer as only the second man in the Open era to reach 6 consecutive Grand Slam finals. So, fairly predictable, I guess one could say, on the men's side. We go now over then to the women's side, and we start in the semifinals, where again we last left off. The 4 seed Muguruza easily defeated the 21 seed Stosur in straight sets 6-2, 6-4 to advance to the finals. And Serena Williams had a hard time, and did it in straight sets, beat unseeded Bertens 7-6, 6-4 to advance to the finals. And then in the women's finals of the French Open, the upset happened. Serena's not playing good tennis, or not playing her best tennis, I should say. And we saw that last year in the U.S. Open, that she was not playing her best tennis, even though she was still advancing in the tournament. And that was the same case here in the French Open. She lost in the finals in straight sets to Muguruza 7-5, 6-4. So congratulations to Muguruza, or however the heck you say that name, on her women's French Open singles championship. And we do have one more tennis news story, actually, that keeps us on the women's side of professional tennis, and that being tennis star Maria Sharapova has been suspended for 2 years from professional tennis after testing positive for the banned substance meldonium. She went through her trial. We talked about this when the news came out. It was unintentional, something under a different name that she had been prescribed or took under a doctor's advice for years. In her hearing or whatever to the doping agency, they said that she didn't, knowingly or intentionally violate any rules or anything like that, and so as a result, they dropped what was supposed to be a 4-year ban to 2 years, because, 2-year ban from professional sports, especially when it's something like tennis or whatever, you can just come back, you'll be the same, you can restart your career where you left off, won't infect any endorsement monies or your livelihood or anything like that, Just ridiculous, absolutely absurd. There should be some kind of punishment because there was a rule violation. Make her sit out a major, okay? Like, make her sit out Wimbledon. You're banned from the next major tournament, okay? Or since you've competed in 2 major tournaments this year, I believe, maybe she didn't. Maybe she's been out while she's been fighting this. I'm not sure. At the absolute most, she should not have to miss anything more than the rest of this year. It's absolutely ridiculous. And where the heck is women's tennis in a position of thriving, to take one of its 2 stars? It's only got 2 players, well, 3, I guess, but only 2 that are, competitive and on any type of decent, championship type of level. And that's Sharapova and Serena Williams. Venus Williams we all know too, because she's Serena's sister, and she was good a long time ago, but she hasn't been anything more than a name, for years now. And it's ridiculous to take your only other star that anybody even remotely cares about, who's past her prime a little bit, and suspend them, ban them for 2 years. It's just absolutely one of the craziest, most absurd, stupid things I've seen in the world of sports. In my 30 plus years on this planet. But so she is set to appeal, of course. We will keep an eye on that, see how that goes down. I'm assuming she will win her appeal to some extent and get that reduced yet. However, I do not feel that there's any possibility that she will get it lifted. She will serve some kind of punishment for this rule violation. All right, so bam, that was a lot of tennis talk too, man. All right. So that leaves us 4 topics to go here, and we'll do them all fairly quickie style. But the next one is going to be the world of horse racing, because the third and final leg of horse racing's Triple Crown is going on this weekend. I believe that race is Saturday. It is possible that it is Sunday. Yes, I have just confirmed it is this Saturday. It will be the 148th run of the Belmont Stakes. The favorite is Exaggerator, coming off of his win at the Preakness, where he upset heavily favored Nyquist. I believe that Nyquist is not even participating in this race. It sounds as though the weather forecast has a muddy track, which I feel is the reason that Exaggerator is the favorite, not because he's coming off of the win at the Preakness, but because he is the best mudder in the field, renounced around the world as the best muddy track horse, and that was why he was on our radar, as well as most people's radar, as the horse with the best chance to upset Nyquist at the Preakness a few weeks ago, because those conditions were expected to be muddy, and that is exactly what happened. Now, where I find it ironic that he is the favorite is it is very seldom that a horse wins the Preakness and then the Belmont Stakes as well, especially when that horse ran in all three legs of the Triple Crown, the Kentucky Derby starting it off, followed by the Preakness, and concluded by the Belmont Stakes. It is very common for the winners of the Kentucky Derby to sit out the Preakness and then show up again at the Stakes and win the Belmont Stakes. It is very uncommon for a horse to race at all three and win the second and third ones in a row. Much more common, probably. Well, I don't know on the on the racing them all and winning the first, losing, but I just know that it's very common for horses to win the Kentucky Derby, sit out the Preakness, and win the Stakes. It's very uncommon that any horse, period, races in all three races and wins the Belmont Stakes. Generally, the Stakes go to a fresher pair of legs, which is very, very reasonable and sensible to think. So we've got to look at some horses outside of Exaggerator here, to win this race, especially if the track does not get as muddy as they are thinking or expecting it will be here on Saturday. That definitely, if it's good weather, good racing conditions, Exaggerator goes down to maybe like the fifth favorite, in my opinion. So I am seeing three names across the horse racing experts that I'm looking at. Three horses to include with Exaggerator if you're betting on or picking horses in the Belmont Stakes, and those three horses are in order. Destin should be your top pick to win, followed by Creator, Exaggerator at third, and Lonnie at four. Now, like I said, if to pay attention to the track conditions. As the track conditions worsen, Exaggerator goes up. The better the track conditions are, the more Exaggerator goes down. So don't be surprised if Exaggerator, the favorite, doesn't even finish in the top three. If it's a fairly nice sunny day with a somewhat dry track, I see him coming in maybe around fifth or sixth, to be quite honest with you. So Destin, Creator, and Lonnie are all our three main picks that we're looking at here for the Belmont Stakes. Boom! Horse racing. Suck on that. All right. 1 down, 3 to go. Told you it'd be quickie. All right. So let's bring it to the world of baseball here now, huh? All right. Well, just 2 nights ago or so, the Twins found themselves winning a nice, hard-fought overtime victory against the Marlins. And the hilarious thing about it was we were sitting down, me and my son, we were watching the extra innings. We watched the Brian Dozier game-winning walk-off home run. And it was, yay, the Twins won. And I enjoyed the moment for just a second, and then I looked at him and I said, you want to know something really sad? He's like, what? I said, if the Minnesota Twins won their next 20 games in a row, they would still have lost more games so far this year than they won. And that is truth. That is truth. How freaking painful is that? to know that your favorite team could go on a 20-game winning streak and they're still below 500. That is how historically terrible the Minnesota Twins have been this year. They are currently 18-40, by far the worst team in the American League, and there's only one team in baseball as bad as them, and that is the 17-42 Atlanta Braves, who have already fired their manager this year. Now, elsewhere in the Central Division, the White Sox continue to falter a little bit, but they're hanging in there. They're 30-30, 3 games outside of first. Detroit Tigers turning it around a little bit here. They are 30-29. The Royals slumping are also 30-29, and the Indians are 32-26. Honestly, I like this. It's a 4-team race that's pretty tight. The Twins being the only team not included. And if I wasn't a Twins fan, it'd be perfect. You know, the only thing is, as a Twins fan, I'd like my Twins to be one of those 4 teams. But that's not how it sits right now. But so very, very tight race. I got a feeling going to be all year in the Central. The Royals' struggles are for real. They have chemistry issues for whatever reason. Championship hangover. Maybe some of the pieces that they let go needed to be kept on. Who knows exactly what the reason or reasons are. But the Royals' struggles are real this year, and they're going to fight all year. I don't think they're going to be dropping down to Twins suckiness territory, or anything like that. But they're not just going to hit a winning streak here, in the next month or so, and establish a lead in first place, and then just kind of ride that throughout the whole rest of the season the way they did last year. That's just not going to be the case. Elsewhere in the American League, we've got the Baltimore Orioles on top of the East and a half a game behind for the best record in the American League. They are 36-23. Red Sox 34-25. They're a surprise to me this year. Blue Jays 32-30, hanging in there. Yankees at 30-30, and the Rays at 27-31. Out west, we have the best team in the American League record-wise thus far, the Texas Rangers at 37-23, followed by the Mariners. Awesome, love to see them succeeding at 33-26. The Astros getting it together a little bit here, 4 games below 500 now at 29-33. The Angels of Anaheim continuing to struggle mightily this year with that huge payroll and tons of talent. Hard to figure that out. Maybe it's an age issue. But they are 26-34, and a half a game worse than them is the Athletics at 25-34. Looking out to the National League now, in the East, we've got the first place Nationals at 36-24. 3 games behind them are the Mets at 32-26. 5.5 games out are the Marlins at 30-29. I predicted them to compete for that this year. Yay me. We got the Phillies at 29-31, and the Braves, as we mentioned, at 17-42. In the West, we've got the championship contending, because it is an even-numbered year, and that's what they do in even-numbered years. The San Francisco Giants, they're in first place at 36-25. 4 games behind them would be the Dodgers. Then at 28-32 in third place is the Rockies. 26-36 Diamondbacks. 25-36 Padres, and just Padres organization is imploding there as well. You've got ownership talking bad about players, and just real ugly down in San Diego. And finally in the Central, we've got your best team in all of baseball all year so far, the Chicago Cubs, in first place at 41-17. Holy guacamole, Batman. 10 games out of first, but 4 games above 500. The Pirates and Cardinals both have the same record of 32 wins and 28 losses. Then down at the bottom, we've got the Brew Crew from Milwaukee at 28-31, and in the basement, the Cincinnati Reds at 22-38. Now, coming off of that great 7-5 overtime victory that was the 6-4 walk-off victory against the Marlins. They went and beat the Marlins again, 7-5. And then now here today, they finished their series with the Marlins, and the Marlins whooped up on them 10-3. But still, Twins got 2 out of 3 games in any series against anybody that's rare this year and good, let alone against a team that's above 500 and not super terrible. So now here tomorrow, Friday. Yes, it'd be Friday. The Twins start a 3-day weekend series at home, hosting the red-hot Red Sox. 7, 10 o'clock.